A wise man once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But too often, men allow emotions, desires, and fleeting pleasures to cloud their judgment, especially when it comes to women. A truly wise man does not simply chase affection. He builds himself into a fortress of strength, reason, and virtue. Today, we uncover 9 things smart men should never do with women, mistakes that cost peace, purpose, and self-respect. A man's purpose is the foundation of his existence. It is the fire that fuels his ambition, the compass that directs his path, and the core of his identity. When a man knows his mission in life, he wakes up with clarity, works with intensity, and lives with a deep sense of fulfillment. However, when he allows romance to take precedence over his purpose, he begins to drift away from the very thing that makes him strong. History and philosophy show us that men who abandon their purpose for the sake of a relationship often find themselves feeling lost, resentful, or unfulfilled. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, emphasized that a man must be indifferent to external distractions and remain devoted to his higher calling. When a man prioritizes a woman over his vision, he not only weakens himself but also loses the very qualities that made him attractive in the first place. Many men believe that putting their dreams on hold for love is a noble sacrifice. They quit their passions, distance themselves from their ambitions, and mold themselves into what they believe their partner desires. At first, this might bring harmony, but over time, the lack of personal fulfillment creates frustration. A man without a mission becomes dependent on his relationship for validation, leading to insecurity, neediness, and ultimately a loss of respect. Women may initially appreciate the attention, but deep down they admire and are drawn to men who stand firm in their path. A practical example can be seen in athletes, entrepreneurs, and leaders who achieve greatness. The ones who remain committed to their craft despite personal challenges are the ones who earn admiration and legacy. Consider an ambitious entrepreneur who builds his career with discipline, refusing to let distractions pull him away. His unwavering focus makes him successful, respected, and confident. Now imagine a man who gives up his aspirations the moment he falls in love. Over time, he becomes resentful, realizing he traded his potential for fleeting affection. This principle applies not only to careers, but to personal growth as well. A man who stops improving, learning, and evolving because he has found a woman will soon find himself stagnating. A woman may care for a man, but if he lacks direction, she will struggle to respect him. True strength lies in maintaining independence, ensuring that no external factor, including love, dictates one's destiny. A wise man loves deeply but never at the cost of his identity. He understands that his mission is not something to be negotiated, postponed, or compromised. He does not sacrifice his dreams for temporary pleasure or approval. Instead, he pursues his purpose relentlessly, knowing that the right people will align with his journey. A lion does not beg for its place in the wild. It moves with strength and confidence. A man who constantly chases a woman who shows little or no interest in him weakens himself. He trades his self-respect for attention, allowing his emotions to dictate his actions. A Stoic man values his dignity more than fleeting affection. He understands that genuine connections should be mutual, not forced. Many men fall into the trap of relentless pursuit, believing that persistence will eventually win a woman over. They send endless messages, plan extravagant gestures, and ignore clear signs of disinterest. What they fail to see is that respect and attraction are not built through desperation. If a woman is not reciprocating interest, it is not a challenge to be won, it is a sign to walk away. A common example is the man who constantly seeks validation from someone who barely acknowledges him. He interprets indifference as a test, believing that if he just tries harder, she will finally see his worth. But by doing so, he communicates neediness instead of strength. Women are not drawn to men who beg for attention. They are drawn to men who are secure in themselves. The Stoics teach that a man should focus only on what he can control, his actions, his mindset, and his choices. Chasing a woman who is not interested is a direct violation of this principle. One cannot control another person's feelings or desires. The more energy a man invests in pursuing someone who is indifferent, the more he diminishes his own value. Seneca wisely stated, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than necessary." In modern dating culture, social media and dating apps have made it easier than ever to chase validation. Men send messages that go unanswered, yet they continue trying. They put women on pedestals, treating them as prizes to be won rather than human beings with their own choices. This behavior leads to frustration, wasted time, and emotional exhaustion. The alternative is self-discipline. A man who respects himself does not waste time on people who do not value him. He does not view rejection as a personal failure, but as redirection. He understands that a person who truly wants to be in his life will make an effort to be there. If a woman is interested, she will show it clearly. If she is not, no amount of persuasion will change that. High-value men do not chase, they attract. They focus on self-improvement, pursue their goals, and cultivate an energy that naturally draws people toward them. By developing their skills, refining their mindset, and living with purpose, they become individuals who do not need to beg for attention. They command it effortlessly. Walking away from what does not serve you is one of the most powerful moves a man can make. It is a declaration that he values himself enough to not settle for less than mutual respect and interest. He does not convince anyone to choose him. He lets them make that choice on their own. If they don't, he moves forward without regret. A wise man recognizes that he is the prize. He does not waste time trying to prove his worth to someone who does not see it. Instead, he invests in himself, knowing that the right people will recognize his value without needing to be persuaded. Jealousy is the fear of losing something you believe belongs to you. It is an emotion that clouds judgment, breeds insecurity, and leads to irrational decisions. A Stoic man understands that nothing, not even a relationship, is truly owned. People are free to come and go as they choose. If a woman's loyalty depends on constant surveillance, restrictions, or fear, then it was never loyalty to begin with. A man ruled by jealousy becomes a slave to his own emotions. He overanalyzes every conversation, questions every interaction, and constantly worries about what his partner is doing. This behavior does not strengthen a relationship, it suffocates it. The more a man clings out of fear, the more likely he is to drive the other person away. Love should not feel like a cage. The tighter the grip, the more people resist. A man who checks his partner's phone, interrogates her about her whereabouts, or constantly seeks reassurance is revealing his own insecurities. This is not protection. It is control disguised as care. True confidence comes from knowing that if someone wants to be with you, they will be, without coercion, without fear, without force. If a woman chooses to betray trust, that is a reflection of her character, not a man's worth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." A man cannot control another person's faithfulness. He can only control his own reaction. If a woman is untrustworthy, the solution is not control, it is departure. A man who respects himself does not waste energy trying to keep someone who does not want to be kept. Social media has amplified jealousy in relationships. People compare themselves to others, worry about their partners, online activity, and feel threatened by every interaction. A wise man does not allow digital illusions to dictate his emotions. He does not seek constant validation or engage in mind games. He understands that relationships should be based on trust, not surveillance. Historical figures who embodied Stoic principles did not waste time on possessiveness. They focused on their purpose, understanding that relationships should be complementary, not consuming. A strong man does not fear losing someone because he knows his value. If a woman chooses another path, he lets her go without bitterness. He does not beg, plead, or seek revenge. He walks away with dignity, knowing that his worth is not determined by another person's choices. When a man frees himself from jealousy, he gains peace. He does not wake up with anxiety. He does not waste energy on suspicion. And he does not allow insecurity to dominate his mind. He lives with the confidence that whatever is meant for him will stay by choice, not by force. A river flows freely, shaping its own course. A man who tries to control a woman disrupts this natural order. Control is an illusion. It is a weak man's attempt to create security where none exists. A strong man understands that people must be free to make their own choices. If a woman aligns with his values, she will stay willingly. If she does not, no amount of control will change that. Many men attempt to control women out of fear of abandonment, fear of betrayal, fear of the unknown. They believe that by setting rigid rules, isolating their partner, or demanding obedience, they can create stability. In reality, this behavior only fosters resentment. No one thrives under oppression. Love cannot exist where there is no freedom. A man who tries to dictate what a woman wears, who she speaks to, or how she lives is not leading, he is imprisoning. Leadership is about inspiration, not domination. A leader sets an example that others naturally follow. He does not impose his will through manipulation or threats. A man who needs control to feel secure is revealing his own lack of confidence. Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." A man who tries to control others is in fact out of control himself. He is driven by his own fears, unable to trust, unable to let go. True mastery is not about bending others to your will. It is about having the discipline to let people be who they are. Relationships built on control do not last. A woman who feels trapped will eventually seek escape. A woman who feels stifled will resist. A man may think he is keeping her close, but in reality he is pushing her further away. Respect is a far stronger bond than control. A woman who respects a man follows his lead naturally, not out of admiration. Consider the difference between a man who leads and a man who controls. A leader inspires loyalty through his character, his vision, and his strength. He does not need to demand it because it is given freely. A controlling man, on the other hand, is constantly policing, dictating, and micromanaging. His insecurity makes him fear independence in others. He sees a woman's free will as a threat rather than a gift. Control often stems from a scarcity mindset, the belief that if a man does not control a woman, he will lose her. But a wise man knows that loss is not something to fear. If a relationship can only survive through control, then it is not built on real connection. A man who respects himself does not need to trap anyone. He creates an environment where people want to stay. A Stoic man walks away from the need to control. He focuses on himself, his growth, and his purpose. He understands that people must choose him willingly. If they do not, he does not chase, he does not manipulate. He simply moves forward, knowing that true strength is found in freedom, not control. Respect is not demanded. It is established by the way you carry yourself. A man who allows disrespect trains others to mistreat him. Real-life example, a man who lets a woman insult him, belittle his ambitions, or manipulate him for personal gain is not practicing patience. He is practicing weakness. The Stoics believed that self-respect was the foundation of a virtuous life. Set your standards high and do not bend to please others. The greatest downfall of many men is allowing lust to control their actions. A wise man indulges in pleasure only in moderation. When pleasure dictates a man's choices, he is no longer free. He is enslaved by desire. Real-life example. Powerful men throughout history have fallen because they prioritize momentary pleasure over lasting legacy. Marcus Aurelius warned against the dangers of excess, urging men to govern themselves with discipline. Do not let fleeting pleasure sabotage lifelong goals. A broken man does not become whole through love. Many men seek relationships not out of strength but out of desperation, hoping that a woman's affection will heal their insecurities. Real-life example. A man struggling with self-worth, depression, or financial instability may think that finding the right woman will solve his problems. It will not. A Stoic knows that he must fix himself first through discipline, purpose, and self-reflection. The greatest power a man has is the ability to walk away from what does not align with his values. Whether it is a relationship that drains him, a toxic partner, or an unfulfilling situation, a Stoic never clings out of fear. Real-life example. Many men stay in unhappy relationships because they fear loneliness. But as Seneca reminds us, associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. If a relationship is not making you better, it is making you weaker. A man who understands these principles does not suffer unnecessarily in love. He does not chase, beg, or cling. He does not allow desire to override wisdom. He is grounded in purpose, unshaken by loss, and steadfast in his self-worth. Remember, the strongest man is the one who needs nothing but his own virtue. Now the question is, will you choose wisdom over weakness? Will you be a man of reason or a slave to emotion? The choice is yours.